Okay. Don't know if this is working or not. That's awesome. And there we go. Okay, so I'm really hoping this is working. Flying solo here in the hangout scenario tonight. Anyways, I'm your buddy, your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Chick. As you can see, Kristen and Guapo are not with me the way I originally intended, but you know, things came along. Shout out to both of them. Various reasons, various personal things, various work things, and all that. They were not able to join me tonight, which is unfortunate. Which means I'm flying solo here on the hangout gimmick here. So I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to hope that somebody down there is watching. I really do. I'm doing the all the stuff, and I'm trying to talk to you guys. So if this is choppy, if I've got bad sound, I'm watching the chat here, so I'm really hoping somebody will tell me if something is not working properly. Here to talk about the draft, here to talk about SmackDown Live a little bit, mostly talk about the draft. Got some points, obviously, coming towards the pay-per-view this Sunday, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to get to all that. I'm going to get to my preview, my predictions. As I say, there's not going to be any real debating because I don't have anybody to debate with. I'm just going to take a second. I'm going to share this on Twitter for anybody that you know, wants to watch, you know, hasn't been paying attention. I've got one person watching right now. So whoever you are, I'm going to say, please say something so that I know that I've actually got sound going on. Whoever the one person is, that's fucking great. Anyways, I'm going to talk about what happened on the draft tonight. I'm going to talk about the draft that happened live on SmackDown. I'm going to talk about the draft that happened supplementary on the WWE Network, the picks, a couple of things that I'm not going to talk about the matches. The matches basically predicted, built up towards the pay-per-view on Sunday. As you can tell, I'm doing this all off the top of my head, which I haven't done in a long time. So I'm sorry, I'm going to ramble a lot. And the minute anybody says anything in the chat, I'm going to be distracted by that as well, because I've got about 5 windows open here. What you guys don't know is when I do have Kristen and Guapo here, I don't look like I'm swinging without a net. I've usually got Guapo tweeting about the stream so that people know what I'm doing. I've usually got somebody watching the chat. I'm watching the chat. We've all got our notes. It's a lot more organized. So really, this is a really big shout out to Kristen and Guapo, who make me look better than I typically do in these hangouts. So I'm going to ask you probably many times in this video to bear with me. I'm going to ask you to bear with me because it always looks like I'm looking sideways, because if you would see my computer, my monitor is relatively tall. My camera's over there. My notes are over there. So I'm either going to be looking way over here or way over here. I'm not doing it to be rude. I hope it doesn't come off that way. And I hope this doesn't come off as awkward as it feels right now. I'm just throwing myself out there, being genuinely honest with you guys. I got 4 people watching right now, which is great. Somebody say something in the chat. That would be great, just so I know I'm not talking to nobody. Let's just talk about the drafts that happened on the actual show itself. Like I say, I'm not going to talk about the matches. They built towards the pay-per-view, and that's really all you can say. If somebody has a singles match coming up at the pay-per-view, they probably had a tag. I'm being distracted by the stream of my own video. Sorry about that. If somebody had, say, a singles match coming up on Sunday, they were in a tag match tonight. If there's a tag team match coming up on Sunday, one of those members had a singles match tonight. John Cena, I will say this. John Cena fought Luke Gallows, which I haven't seen since Luke Gallows was in CM Punk's corner many, many years ago. I think that was back in like 2011. So that was just... And it's very, very similar ring attire to when he was in the Straight Edge Society, too. So that was a bit of a thing. So we know that Raw got 3 picks for every 2 that SmackDown got. I'm going to run down the Raw roster. I'm going to run down the SmackDown roster. And then I'm going to run down some points and some little things that arise or that caught my eye or whatever. So Monday Night Raw in the live show, drafted Seth Rollins. Okay. Charlotte. Okay, she's the champion. You basically drafted, it's funny because they said on the show, they basically drafted Charlotte so that they could have the title on Raw. They didn't necessarily want Charlotte, which is, I think we can agree with that, can't we? They drafted Finn fucking Balor from NXT, which is fucking great. They got that surprise out early. I figured Finn Balor, I mean, worst kept secret in history that he was going to be drafted up to the main roster, but Finn Balor, I figured they would have left him until the end, and it would have been like a big surprise thing, but they did it right away. Roman Reigns, which Stephanie said as if she was going to get a positive reaction, which was funny. Brock Lesnar, they drafted the New Day as a group. So all of us that have been saying all along the draft will be the perfect opportunity to break up the New Day. Not so much, although Xavier Woods had a really awkward match with Bray Wyatt tonight. We're not really going to go there. Sami Zayn, Sasha Banks, Chris Jericho. Sasha Banks is a no-brainer. Chris Jericho is awesome. Sami Zayn is the new Daniel Bryan. Okay. Angry Mark says hi. Cow says they drafted somebody who I'll talk about in a second, but not Bayley. Shake my head. There's a lot of people that were drafted tonight that everybody was assuming. If they drafted everybody that we were assuming, it would have been yes. And Angry Mark's response there is great too. Bayley, I still predict Bayley to be the surprise partner of Becky Lynch, but we'll get to that in a moment. Jericho is a veteran. Jericho exists in WWE to put everybody over, which is fucking great. Rusev with Lana. I like the fact, here's the thing that I do like. They presented the tag teams, the ones that were staying together anyway, and they presented the people that have managers as a package deal. So by drafting Rusev, they got Lana. Lana's not going to wrestle in the women's division yet. I mean, I know she's training and whatever, but they're a package. The act... the act is a combination act. Rusev, Lana. Lana by herself did fuck all. She was part of that big 10-person tag at WrestleMania that did nothing in a really awkward but still kind of hot outfit. Rusev without Lana just gets We Want Lana chance. Kevin Owens, Enzo and Cass, Gallows and Anderson, Big Show, Nia Jax, which I could do without, and it's not the last time I'm going to say that. The returning Adrian Neville, which is awesome, Cesaro, and Sheamus. Sheamus, if used properly, can be cool in a brawl, cool in a mid-card scenario. That's about it. Now, on the SmackDown side of things, we start off with the WWE champion, Dean Ambrose, who is still the WWE champion after beating Seth Rollins clean on SmackDown. So, Rollins really looks like a jobber. Anyways, so there's your 3 Shield members. There's 2 members on Raw and Dean Ambrose by himself on SmackDown. So in the scenario, they talked about it later in the night, in the scenario of which brand is going to take home the WWE Championship at the end of Battleground, you've got this cool thing where Raw has 2 chances to get a hold of that title. One with Rollins, who Stephanie McMahon loves, and one with Reigns, who Stephanie McMahon hates. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan have 1 chance to keep that title on their brand, and that's Dean Ambrose, and they are fully wholeheartedly in his camp. We got AJ Styles, we got Cena, we got Orton, we got Bray Wyatt drafted as a singles competitor, Becky Lynch, The Miz, who comes along with Maurice, Baron Corbin, American fucking Alpha from NXT. Oh, and fuck yes. I know I said I wanted to see them feud with Gargano and Ciampa in NXT, but do I want to see them ascend to the main roster, or do I want to see them have this one feud that I want to see them have in NXT? I can forgive that. Ziggler, who every time something happens with Ziggler, the commentators say he's getting a rebirth in his career, and then it doesn't happen. Natalya, who I couldn't give a shit about. And the last draft of the night on the live show was Alberto Del Rio, which is fine by me. Now, a couple of things that pop out of those immediate draft picks. Lesnar and Orton are on opposite shows. So immediately, SummerSlam's main event will be promoted as an interpromotional thing. This will be the first time since tonight, since the draft, since everything starts anew next week, that we will have an interpromotional thing. You're going to have Shane and Daniel Bryan in Randy Orton's corner. somehow. You're going to have Mick Foley and Stephanie along with Paul Heyman in Brock Lesnar's corner somehow. If they play it up that way, then there's a reason to fight. I love the match between Lesnar and Orton. You guys know I did a video several years ago. I think it was in 2011, so that's a long time ago. 7 or 8 reasons why Lesnar and Orton need to fight. And it's all back there, and you guys can check it out if you want to. But now it's happening. It's a match that I want to see, but a lot of other people have been complaining that there's no real reason for them to fight. If you want to push it as an interpromotional thing, as a battle for brand supremacy, for those of you who remember the old bragging rights pay-per-views, or the interpromotional matches that they used to have at WrestleMania during the brand split last time, that could be enough of a reason to have these guys fight. We're going to talk about that more later on. One thing that we hoped was going to happen was we hoped that the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens feud was going to end at Battleground. We hoped that the draft was going to put them on separate shows. I could have sworn on a stack that Sami Zayn was going to go to SmackDown, but it is what it is. They're going to stay on Raw, and therefore, big spoiler alert, there's going to be a bullshit ending at Battleground, and these guys are going to keep fighting. We've established the mid-card titles. We've established that the Intercontinental Championship with The Miz is going to be on SmackDown, while the U.S. Championship with Rusev is going to be on Raw. So far, we've got 3 of the 6 NXT call-ups, and that's Finn Balor, unfortunately Nia Jax, and the American Alpha. All said and done, all good so far. Now, when they go to the supplementary draft that happened on WWE Network after SmackDown Live was over, SmackDown still looked like SmackDown. So I'm hoping when we see the brand new version of Raw next week that we're going to see some differences in SmackDown as well. But that's a very, very minor complaint. Raw took the Golden Truth, Titus O'Neil, Paige, Darren Young with Bob Backlund, Sin Cara, Jack Swagger, the Dudley Boys as a unit, Summer Rae, Mark Henry, Braun Strowman as an individual superstar, Bo Dallas as an individual superstar, the Shining Stars as a unit, Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke, and Curtis Axel as an individual superstar. Little bit of a spoiler here. They don't mention Heath Slater at all in this draft. So I'm really hoping that the rest of whoever didn't get mentioned tonight is just going to be slotted in places, and I hope they, yeah. Anyways, SmackDown takes the Usos, Kane, Kalisto, Naomi, The Ascension, Zack Ryder, Apollo Crews, Alexa fucking Bliss. Oh, yes. I don't care. Along with Finn Balor and American Alpha, this was the most exciting draft pick for me tonight. And what that means about me, I really don't care. TheAngryMark is actually talking in the comment section about who I'm about to mention. Breezango, who I love. Why did I crunch that up? I'm actually going to need that. Why did I do that? You guys know I do that when I'm done with a page, but yeah, now I'm going to rip this. Yep, that's how that's going to go. Wasn't actually done with that sheet, so I'm going to leave that there. Breezango, who you guys know I love. Eva Marie, which I'm sure blew up Twitter, but at this point I wasn't even watching Twitter. Vaudevillains, who are kind of lukewarm. Eric Rowan, Mojo Rawley, and Carmella. Now, what are the stories that go along with this? This solidified the split of the Lucha Dragons, which is good. They made the conscious decision before the draft. They wanted to go on separate shows. That's all good. What it also did was it put both of the primetime players on Raw, which Darren Young seemed to be very, very excited about, and Titus O'Neil seemed to be not so excited about. So maybe we're going to have an actual feud between them, or maybe Bob Backlund is going to manage the primetime players because reasons. Now, talked about the mid-card titles a second ago. Cow says he's cleaning his clipboard, which is why there's alphabet soup in the chat. That's just fine. They split the Hype Bros. No, they didn't. They drafted Ryder and Mojo to SmackDown, so I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. And the last one was Carmella. Like I said, both primetime players are on Raw. Now, will that mean anything? Probably not, but it is worth noting. There could be a mid-card title swap There could be a mid-card title swap, and this is what I'm saying. We're really getting the crowd behind Ryder. We're really getting the crowd behind Young. Both of them are on the opposite show from the champion that they're trying to grab from. The United States Championship with Rusev is on Raw. Like I said, the Intercontinental Championship is on SmackDown with The Miz. But Darren Young could win the Intercontinental Championship and bring it to Raw. Ryder could win the U.S. title and bring it to SmackDown, and that could solidify where the titles go. I don't know. It's one of those things where I hope that's not the case, because we need to have one of those titles on each show. So it's kind of a thing where we're going to go into Battleground, and if one challenger wins, then we know the other challenger is going to win, and that the structure of that makes Battleground a little bit predictable. Not that the mid-card titles at Battleground are the best anyway, but it is what it is. Braun Strowman, because Eric Rowan is going to be joining Bray Wyatt on SmackDown. Braun Strowman as a singles competitor, I really have to question. I really do. The commentators played it up like, here's this big, gigantic power force of a man that only Bray Wyatt can control, and Bray Wyatt won't be there to control him anymore. As a commentator, that's how you have to play it up, but Braun Strowman's really kind of shit. There's rumors that they're going to have him feud with Big Cass in a one-on-one feud. I really hope for Cass's sake that's not true. We find out that Charlotte still has her protege Dana Brooke, which continues her story going into Battleground, having backup, etc., and being a heel moving forward with her backup, etc. On SmackDown tonight, there was a tag team or a handicap match between Charlotte and Dana and Sasha Banks, which I could have sworn on a stack was going to be their excuse to introduce Bayley, or whoever else was going to be Sasha Banks's partner at Battleground. Now, I don't agree with advertising a match for a pay-per-view. I mean, it's not pay-per-view. You're not asking people to pay their $60 anymore, but people still do pay for the network to get the pay-per-view, so you are still getting their money. I don't agree with selling a pay-per-view where you don't know one of the participants. If you want to leave it to the very last show, which this is, and put that in at the last minute for anybody that hasn't bought their pay-per-view yet, that's fine. You should have done it tonight. You didn't. Sasha just got the shit kicked out of her 2-on-1 on SmackDown, and it was kind of awkward. Mojo Rawley is on Raw. Will we see Zack Ryder become the Intercontinental Champion? U.S. Champion? Or will we see a reformation of the Hype Bros on mainstream WWE TV? I'm not going to lie, because they're a fun team, and I'm not saying this like they're the best. I'm not saying this like they should go over the fucking club or something like that. But I really do think they could have a fun team. They could team, or so they should have a feud with Breezango, and I would have fun with it. Now, if that makes me a Mark, if that makes me a whatever you want to call me, then cool, go for it. But Carmella is on the main roster and did not go to the same show as Enzo and Cass. I think that's good, because I think they really tried on NXT, and I think they'll continue to try on SmackDown to build her as a singles competitor rather than just being a valet. We don't need another Lana. We don't need we don't need another Maurice. We don't need another Lana, because Maurice can wrestle, but she's there as a valet. Lana can try to wrestle, but she's there as a valet. Carmella is really trying to go out there and make her way as an individual competitor, and I think she would have got lost in the shuffle if they had teamed her back up with Enzo and Cass. So I agree with that. And your last couple of call-ups are Alexa Bliss, Eva Marie, Mojo Rawley, and Carmella, which is fine. And people are saying, like somebody said in the comment here, Cow in the comment section says, I think her partner is going to be Nikki Bella from what I've heard. And you guys know how I feel about that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Honestly, Sasha Banks and Nikki Bella as a team. Nikki Bella is going to be super babyface when she comes back. And if that is the case, I haven't heard that myself personally. I've been hearing for a while, hey, Nikki's going to come back any day now. But if that is the case, I'm fully for it. I know that that's going to get me hate because you're not supposed to like the Bellas, but whatever. Now, where does my allegiance lie right now? even though Raw has Rollins, Balor, Lesnar, Sasha Banks, Enzo and Cass, Paige, the Dudleys, I got to go with SmackDown, because on SmackDown I got Ambrose, I got Styles, I got Cena, who could do some good things. I got the returning Randy Orton, which is never a bad thing. I got Bray Wyatt, Becky Lynch, who you guys know I'm a big fan of, who's been incredibly underutilized since she's come up from NXT. I got my boy The Miz. I got American fucking Alpha. I got Ziggler, who I'm always going to be behind. I got Del Rio, who I'm always going to be behind. I got the Usos, who are fun sometimes. I got Kalisto, who's going to be back as a singles guy anymore. I can ignore Naomi. I can ignore the Ascension. Ryder, they're going to go one of two ways with him, and either way it'll be fun. Apollo Crews is decent. Alexa Bliss, be still my beating heart and other things. Breezango, you guys know I enjoy as a team. The gimmick sucks, but the guys are actually melding to be a really good team. Eric Rowan, I could take or leave. Mojo Rawley, like I say, could be the reformation of the Hype Bros. SmackDown, even though it's the more condensed show, is really, really looking good. I might be wearing a blue T-shirt. I'm just putting that one out there. Now, this is not including any odds and ends people that they left out, and it's not including what they're going to do with the Cruiserweight division, who's going to come over from the CWC, how they're going to establish that title, how they're going to deal with the two world title situations, how they're going to deal with women on both rosters, but a title only on one show, tag teams on both rosters, but a title only on one show. They didn't address any of that. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. They gave us a few answers on Raw. They gave us a lot of answers tonight. And if we keep on going and we keep on learning things as we go, I'm okay with that. I don't want it to be dropped all in one night. Angry Mark says he's Team Blue, so he's on my side. Angry Mark, you are now drafted to Team Spaz, which is amazing or terrible depending on your point of view. Now, that's the draft. That's the draft, and that is the draft. And I am going to say, I wasn't horribly offended with the way they handled the draft. The draft was nice. I'm moving some stuff around on my screen. Give me a second. I got another thing I got to pull up here. So, as you can tell, I'm incredibly professional when I do this. A couple of other things. Little notes that I've heard about the draft before tonight is that the Raw Superstar on the two minor shows, Superstars and Main Event, for anybody that cares, the Raw Superstars are going to be competing on Superstars. The SmackDown Superstars are going to be participating in Main Event. Angry Mark says, "Where's my T-shirt?" I don't have T-shirts. You know who does have T-shirts though is go over to my buddy OKFabe, who does the Raw rundown and all those other kind of things. Check out some of his shit on Patreon or on Spreadshirt. He's got some cool T-shirts. I don't have any. I've only ever had about 3 people in the life of this channel say they would actually buy a Spaz Phoenix T-shirt, and I'm sorry, 3 people is not enough to get me to see how to do all that shit because I really, really don't know. So there's that. So basically, Main Event is going to be the dark matches of SmackDown. Superstars is going to be the dark matches of Raw, is really what that means. We've got Raw that's run by Stephanie and Mick Foley. We've got SmackDown that's run by Shane and Daniel Bryan. We've got Raw, who's also going to have the Cruiserweight division. And we move on to Battleground. Now, Battleground really seems like it was swept under the rug in the wake of the draft. But I think Battleground is a very important linchpin. Like I say, especially if we do that big swap with the 2 mid-card titles, I don't know. But it's one of those ones that everybody's going to say is shit until something really cool happens. I'm sorry, I'm trying to navigate a couple different things on my screen here. I'm glad you guys are bearing with me. And how many people do I have? I have a whole 4 people watching, and 3 have liked this video. Whoever the 4th one is, sorry, I'm not up to snuff tonight. I don't have Kristen and Guapo here making me look good. That is a thing. So on to Battleground. There is no pre-show as of yet. I was sure they were going to give us Breezango versus the Lucha Dragons as a kickoff match for the Battleground pay-per-view, but then they split up the Lucha Dragons. So there's that. Randy Orton is going to have the highlight reel. Randy Orton is going to be on the highlight reel with Jericho. Obviously, he's going to be talking about his match with Lesnar at SummerSlam. Watch Lesnar's match in the UFC. I don't watch UFC, but I know enough to know that Lesnar owned the fuck out of that Hunt guy. And I will say that Hunt guy because I'm not familiar. I know that Lesnar's got a lot of illegal substance sort of scandal going on right now, which I'm going to call bullshit on, because if there was any legitimacy to it, you know, WWE, as pussy whipped as they are, would have gotten him out of there right quick. Lesnar versus Orton at SummerSlam. Like I say, now with the way the draft fell out, you could really play this up as, you know, you got one whole show behind one guy, one whole show behind the other guy. And I really hope they do. I don't want them to do something corny like coming out in the red and blue shirt. The red and blue shirt thing, and that's the one thing they did tonight that I didn't like on the brand split. It's cheesy as fuck, and they've done it since the very first Raw SmackDown draft. It's bad because you've got all the, especially for heel, baby faces is okay. You know, baby faces, I'm just happy to be here. I'm on this new team, Roddy Raw, and no pun intended to Raw. But heels don't give a shit about anybody. They don't give a shit about the other people on their team. They don't give a shit about the other people on their show. They give a shit about themselves. So why would they all of a sudden proudly don a shirt of their brand? I don't want them to do something like that, but to have Stephanie come out with Paul Heyman for Lesnar's entrance, for Daniel Bryan, or maybe not Daniel Bryan because of the history, but definitely Shane McMahon to come out backing Randy Orton would be a nice touch. To have, like I say, to have that brand rivalry, because this is the first time, like I say, we're going to see these people from two different brands go head-to-head since tonight. So they need to play that up somehow. Charlotte and Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks and her mystery apartment. See, I need my co-hosts here to not make me sound like shit. With the mystery opponent, if it is Nikki Bella, that's a great way to bring her back. If it is Bayley, it's a good way to introduce her. Either way, this match serves a couple of purposes. This match gets us to Charlotte versus Sasha Banks at SummerSlam, which we all see coming. And it either brings back Nikki or introduces Bayley. I would love, and I know nobody cares right now because she's not been used properly in a long time, and she's busy fucking Del Rio, that lucky fucker. For the purpose of the match, I would love her mystery partner to be Paige. I know I'm the only one on that one, but why is my computer doing fucked up shit again, and again? Sorry, guys. I really, really am. Sorry. Mystery apartment, LOL. Thank you, Angry Mark. I feel bad for Dana Brooke because she's a lot greener than everybody else in the ring, and because everybody else in the ring is so good, it is very hard for her to look good, but I don't say she looks bad, and I'm glad she's getting, you know, into the mix. We all know what happened with her. She was supposed to be doing the partnership thing with Emma like she did in NXT, and then Emma got hurt. Emma! I want to know where Emma fell in this draft. That's a thing for another day. Natalya versus Becky Lynch, because Natalya needs Becky Lynch to be relevant. I hope to fuck that Becky Lynch wins and moves on from this as soon as possible. Like I say, here, I'm going to uncrunch my papers again. Actually, no, I'm not, because I know exactly what I'm going to say. Alexa Bliss, you guys know that have been watching my NXT reviews. I really wanted her to face Asuka. But it's like the American Alpha situation again. I will sacrifice that one match that I wanted to see for the person that I'm a fan of to go be on a bigger stage. Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch. Fucking do it. Doesn't have to be for a title. Doesn't have to be for anything. Just give me Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch with no run-ins, no bullshit, no stipulations, none of that. We got Alexa Bliss away from Blake and Murphy too. That's fucking great. Angry Mark. Sure, why not? How do I? Where's the fucking thing? Angry Mark wants to join the hangout, folks. So I'm going to let him join the hangout. Angry Mark, message me on Facebook. Angry Mark. Angry Mark. Okay. I know you're asking because it would be cool. I'm saying freaking... Buddy. Message me on the Book of Face. Okay, when you message me on the Book of Face, I will try to get you in here. You can fill in for Kristen and Guapo. I believe Angry Mark was the one that said, I can't wait for the tackle for Battleground because it's going to be you, Guapo, and the hot chick, which is great, and which put a smile on all of our faces, which is cool. It's nice having loyal viewers. It really, really is. Yeah, like I say, man, message me on Facebook, and I'll get you the link. It's all good. But until then, moving on. Darren Young versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. I gotta say, really, no. Just no. And I know what people are going to say. Funny thing is, I've been called racist on this channel a lot when there are people of all races and religions and all that sort of thing that I'm a fan of. The new thing is people are saying that I hate Daniel Bryan, or sorry, not Daniel Bryan, Darren Young, because he's gay. And anybody that thinks that of me can go fuck themselves. What I do say is that Darren Young has been gone for fucking ever. What the hell? And I got a message, and I think that's TheAngryMark. And we're going to get TheAngryMark in here, I think. Maybe. Friggin'. There we go. TheAngryMark, I sent you the thing, so do the thing with the thing when stuff happens. Okay, so now I think TheAngryMark is coming in. I'm going to wait a moment, see how that goes. But Darren Young, no. Darren Young won a Battle Royal, won a shitty match against Alberto Del Rio on Raw, where Alberto Del Rio got squashed. And that's it. And he's got an Intercontinental Championship match, and I don't get it. And yeah, I really hope he doesn't win. But like I say, I'm going to talk about the next match, and I hope Zack Ryder does win. So if Zack Ryder wins, Darren Young has to win. I'm torn on this. Okay. TheAngryMark. Where you at, bud? Oh, Spaz is fucking tired. Spaz is fucking tired. See, here's the thing. I have to say I want Darren Young to win because I want Zack Ryder to win. And we can't have both mid-card titles on one show. Zack Ryder versus Rusev is a little more built up because he had his big successful moment at WrestleMania. Hello.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Just fucking marking out inside, bro. Big fan of yours.
Thanks a lot, man. You're here to see me, so I'm not swinging on a rope by myself.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
Anyways,
I mean, my fingers are sweating to the floor. My fingers are sweating to the floor.
I don't know if you heard what I was saying in the past couple of seconds, but with the way all the mid card titles fell, I want Zack Ryder to beat Rusev because I think it'll be a good feel good thing, and I think he's had a little bit of up and down build this year. But for that to happen, Darren Young also has to win so that we don't have two mid card titles on one show. So in a way, I have to cheer for Darren Young, even though I don't want to. What do you think?
I actually like Darren Young, and I agree with you. There needs to be some shockers, you know what I mean? Like let's be honest, if Zack Ryder beat Rusev, it won't ruin Rusev. Like, you know what I mean? He'll still be known as like the scary Bulgarian.
Well, this is the thing, like people think Zack Ryder's a joke, and especially or I don't, but I'm saying like a lot of other people do, and especially if you've been watching what he's been doing on NXT with Mojo Rawley, he's really not, like, he's really amped himself up, and people know him as that guy that WWE gives feel-good moments to every now and then. So it would work, but like I say, the titles are on opposite shows, but the challengers for the titles are on the opposite shows. So it's like if one champion wins and one champion loses, the way all the talent has fallen, you're going to get the IC and the US title both on one show, which they can't really do.
Yeah, you have to find a way I forgot who was drafted to where, but you have to find a way to kind of separate the titles, like IC on SmackDown and US on Raw, something like that.
Here's how it breaks down. The Miz is on SmackDown, The Miz is on SmackDown, but Darren Young is on Raw. Rusev is on Raw, but Zack Ryder's on SmackDown. So if Zack Ryder beat Rusev, he'd be the US champion, and if Miz retained, the US champion and the Intercontinental champion would be on the same show. So either both champion, to keep each show with a title, either both champions have to retain or both champions have to lose. This is the circle I'm going in. Because I don't hate Darren Young. This is the thing. Darren Young's never given me anything really to wow at. And his thing right now is, Bob Backlund gave him the crossface chicken wing. He's been gone for fuck tons of time. He won a battle royal that he didn't really win. And then he beat Alberto Del Rio on Raw because Miz interfered and it didn't work out in Alberto Del Rio's favor. And that's really all he's done. And you're going for supposedly the second highest title in the company. I can't get behind that.
Yeah, good point, man. And to be honest, I actually want Darren Young to win. And if Zack Ryder didn't beat Rusev, it wouldn't really shock me. So,
yeah.
So, to be honest, I'll just have to say this: it would be great if Zack beat Rusev, but again, I don't think it'll happen because, well, damn it. But then you think about the WrestleMania IC title match. It's like, well, he won that, and no one thought he'd win it. It's just a tricky thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember the first time, do you remember I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but it was that pay-per-view where Zack Ryder, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk all came out with titles, and they all came out and celebrated together the next night on Raw.
Yeah.
Like, Zack Ryder doesn't get, like, world title shots and big main event things, but he goes away for a while, comes back, WWE gives him a moment, and then they sort of bring him into the background again, and he sort of has, like, an ebb and flow like that, and so it wouldn't surprise me, and like you say, it wouldn't hurt Rusev at all, because Rusev could do something bigger than the U.S. title. But and I'm going to talk in circles here, but basically it's like I want to have one without the other, but it doesn't make sense. So by that alone, I got to say I want Young to win, and I have to say I want Ryder to win.
Right.
Now we got two 6-man tags in a row, not the 12-man tag from Raw, which was a mess. We have the Club versus John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass. The Club needs to win this.
Here's my thing. I've never really been on board with the whole "it's the Club, so you gotta like them" type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just I will admit it seems like they're not getting any build at all, and a win would help them. But I don't know. There's just something about them that I can't take seriously, if you know what I mean.
I get it because they're making them do a lot of like really goofy comedy type stuff, but it's one of those things where they've had the upper hand gotten on them, like because Enzo and Cass are so popular, and because they're now attached to John Cena, and we know the effect that can have. Like it won't hurt Enzo and Cass to lose. It won't hurt John Cena to lose. I think it will hurt the Club to lose.
I guess it feels like nobody cares about them. You know what I mean? Like every time they come out, it's just, oh, here's the Club again.
Yeah. I wish they did too. And I mean, with AJ going to SmackDown and Gallows and Anderson going to Raw and Balor going to Raw, I think we're going to finally get the Balor Club without AJ Styles. But you have to show, if you want because everybody's behind Finn Balor. And if you're going to take those guys from AJ Styles and team them with Finn Balor, you have to show that they can get something done to equal, like, why would Finn Balor want to associate with these guys? You know what I mean?
Right, and you also got to build up Carl Anderson, Gallows to be serious. Like, I'm sorry, you can't just put them together with Finn and call them the Balor Club and expect me to be like, oh shit, I can't believe it's them. You know what I mean? Like, you have to find a way to build them up.
Well, that's what I mean. Like they need to have like everybody knows that they all have the history over in Japan and whatever and all the stuff that I'm not familiar with, but within the WWE story, you have to show that these guys can do something that somebody as well received as Finn Balor would want to associate with them. Like if they take part in toppling John Cena, that's a cool moment. They can ride that momentum for a little bit. So okay, they're this big powerhouse team. They just lost their leader. They're looking for another leader. Along comes Finn Balor. And you know what? It's really, really simple booking, but I think it could work in this case if WWE does something to give them a little boost. And I think this is the boost they need. And like I say, the Gallows, Anderson, and AJ Styles lose a lot more by losing this match on Sunday than Enzo and Cass and John Cena do. Nothing's going to hurt John Cena. Like, that's a fact.
Oh, No,
Uh,
yeah.
Enzo, like the crowd has already adopted Enzo and Cass. Nothing they lose is really going to hurt them either.
Yeah, you're right. The crowd will be all over Enzo and Big Cass regardless. But going back to the club, I think, they need characters. They really need, like, there has to be more to them than just, oh, we're from Japan, so hurrah.
Yeah, they have to stop making the jokes about, hey, remember back in Roppongi. Like that has to stop, because it's like you want to eventually be like, so here's what happened in Roppongi, and they can't, and yeah. But I am going to say, because, like, if nothing else, because the club hasn't been presented very well, my hope for them is they get a win out of this. But then, like I say, AJ Styles goes to Raw and to SmackDown, continues his feud with John Cena. The other two go back and either compete with the New Day for the tag titles again, or they link up with Finn Balor, or all those guys go their separate ways and something completely that I haven't thought of yet happens. But as I'm only saying this as far as who needs it. The club really needs a win, in my personal opinion. You're going with who?
Um, uh, who's the club facing again?
John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Colin Cassidy.
Um, to be honest, I think John Cena and Enzo Amore are gonna win.
Yeah.
But I'm with you in the case that it would be cool if the Bullet Club won.
And the other thing is too, because like club's a group. Okay, they're a group for a little bit longer. John Cena, Enzo, and Cass are not a group, so winning as a group doesn't get them anything. It's not just that it doesn't hurt them; it's like them winning doesn't get them anything. So, like, okay, yeah, we won. What's the point? You get that side of it.
Yeah, that's what I gonna point out next. It's like, yeah, if the club win, that's cool and all, but at the same time, you got no character, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
pointless in a way.
Well, do you remember when the Shield first came in, and the Shield were the big like indie fan thing, and similar with the Wyatts as well. You had these awesome 3-man teams, but all you could do was throw random collections of 3 people at them. Like you had like remember at WrestleMania, you had like Randy Orton, Sheamus, and the Big Show. Like, why would they ever need to win?
Right, but the thing is here is like, I don't know really how to say this, but it's just like, I guess you can say single-handedly, you can say that the Shield had such a big mystique around it, and such a big presence around the group to the point where it didn't really matter who they face. So them just being there made the thing entertaining, I think, and you can't say that with the club.
Yeah, the other, it's one of those things too, and it's odd to say, but the fact that people are so familiar with Luke Gallows actually hurts them in this case, because they remember him being like a lackey to CM Punk, like I was saying earlier. They remember him being Festus. They remember him being in the Aces and Eights bullshit in TNA. Like Carl Anderson, like if you're a WWE fan, Carl Anderson is the new guy to you, because you're probably familiar with AJ Styles, even if you didn't see him in Japan. People know him from TNA. TNA was pretty popular when AJ was there. I think the fact that people are familiar with Luke Gallows actually works against him, because what they remember isn't that great. Like, because literally he was a lackey along with CM Punk's bald girlfriend in the Straight Edge Society, and I think people still remember that. I mean, Wrestling Jesus, when the club first came together and people were getting excited about them, I just remember him in several videos being like, "Guys, it's fucking Festus." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Um,
yeah,
I think it sucks, because I do think that, like, I've always been a fan of AJ Styles. Like, we can make all the TNA jokes we want, but there has been a lot of good talent to come out of that company, and AJ Styles is one of them. Um, from seeing when he was Festus to what Luke Gallows is now, I think is an amazing achievement. And like I say, Carl Anderson is brand new to me. Doing the goofy shit, like doing the hashtag beat up John Cena, like I laughed the first time, and then it kind of needs to go away. Um, what was it? Enzo said, friggin' AJ Styles is like the emo kid with the soccer mom haircut, and it's fully true. And
yeah. That was funny.
But the piss off of it is, you talk about TNA, and it's the same thing I used to say about TNA. The piss off of it is you got three, like, pretty amazingly talented guys. I'm not saying Luke Gallows is going to be the next WWE champion, but you got three pretty damn talented guys there, and I don't know why they came out and their opening night they destroyed the Usos, and now they're coming out there being goofballs, and I hope that changes. I hope that changes with Finn Balor, because Finn Balor is not exactly goofy, and AJ Styles can do his own thing. And if AJ Styles goes on at SummerSlam to beat John Cena again, he won't have the backup, and that'll make him look better too. So better things are coming, but we got to get through a bunch of shit at Battleground that doesn't really make any sense first.
Right, I completely agree with you. And let's just say I hear Luke Gallows likes biscuits and gravy for breakfast.
Oh my. From Luke Gallows to a family that doesn't exactly have Luke Harper in it right now, we got the New Day versus the Wyatt family. Now, I don't know about you, but I would have bet the house that the New Day was going to get split up in the draft.
I was 50-50 on it, because I was like, okay, the New Day, yeah, maybe some people are getting tired of them, but at the same time, they still sell a lot of merch. They still get reactions. It's like, why would you want to break that up while they're still hot? You know what I mean?
But you wouldn't have guessed that they would split up the Wyatt family. Like, you would have said the New Day before the Wyatt family. Or at least I would have.
Actually,
Braun Strowman as a... Angry Mark, buddy. Braun Strowman as a singles competitor on Raw going forward.
Speechless?
Like, when they drafted Bray Wyatt over to SmackDown, I thought, okay, they'll leave the two big guys over on Raw. They can be like a big lumbering tag team that nobody can beat because they're big. And I could have lived with that. I could have, like, found a way to live with that. It could have been like the Authors of Pain in TNA, or in NXT, rather. Well, NXT is pretty much TNA now. But they could have done something. It wouldn't have been great, but they could have done something with that. Like, Bray Wyatt's on SmackDown. He's got his disciples over on Raw. The spreading out of the mystical powers or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But no, Eric Rowan is staying on SmackDown with Bray Wyatt to back him up. And Braun fucking Strowman, I think Chase Oliver calls him the fucking Care Bear, is on Raw by himself as a single star. For reasons. I gotta stick to for reasons.
Oh, man.
This is gonna be a clusterfuck match, but I do have to say one thing first, and this is what I would have asked Guapo and Kristen if they were able to join me tonight. The Wyatt family compound segment or the final deletion?
I'll be honest, I don't really care much of a fuck to even see the final deletion.
Okay.
So I'll just say the compound.
I will say the only thing final deletion had going for it was an actual match. Like, the Wyatt thing, it was a big, well-done segment that's leading up to a match. The Hardys was an actual match of sorts. I would suggest you check it out, not because I'm trying to get you to watch TNA, but just because it's one of those things that you're going to watch. And I said this in a video a while ago, you probably saw it. It's one of those things that you're going to watch it and you're not really going to know if it's fucking brilliant or a piece of shit. Like, this is me. I'm the friggin' Hardy Mark, right? But even I don't know if it's brilliant or a piece of shit. But I do have to give TNA a little bit of credit. They went way outside the box, and they took a risk on that, and that's cool for them. People say WWE copied them, which I don't think is necessarily true, but this was much more well done, much more of a horror movie feel to it. I really liked it. The fact that you had all the other the fireflies hiding in the trees and all that sort of thing. Potentially, we saw Sister Abigail in the shadows, which was kind of cool. But I like the fact that it's made Xavier Woods kind of serious, because that's the one thing we never really saw from the New Day. And I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, if this means we get to see the New Day as a more serious team, like shed the goofiness a little bit, I think that could work. Because as a team, as a cohesive unit, as a tag team, acting as a tag team, they're a very good team. But I need to see what they're like when they're not being goofy. And if we get that from this, then it's a success as far as I'm concerned.
Well, here's the thing with that. You take a risk if you do that, because maybe the reason why they're goofy on this is because that's why people find them entertaining. So if you try to take the serious route with them, maybe people will be like, oh, now they're just another tag team on the block. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
not permanently. Not
well,
permanently.
yeah, but
Just have one
what?
match that shows me that they have that side. Okay, think of Triple H and DX. In one episode of Monday Night Raw, you could have him out there cutting the stupidest promo with the Outlaws, whatever. But if his match at the end of the night was with Foley, you know he was going to tear Foley's head off. I want New Day to have a moment like that, because not on a main event level, but I think they could have a moment like that and come back from it and still be the goofy New Day that we like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but even with that, let's just say, like you said, they're only serious for like one pay-per-view or one match, right? I I'm not sure people will be that invested in them if they weren't a serious match. Like especially if it was a build towards a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like maybe they could cool off a little bit by then. I just feel like you take a little risk with that.
Oh,
But
not in. I don't mean in the build. I mean in the match on Sunday.
oh, so just the match? Then yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be fine.
I think they should have the compound segment should have been on the Go Home Raw, and they take that beating, they go home with it, they sit on it for a couple of days, and they know they've got to bring something different to the fight. They come out, they do their typical like comedy shtick. They got the fucking horse cocks on their heads, the whole bit, and then as soon as the match starts, the three of them get vicious, which the crowd isn't expecting. The crowd will pop for anything that genuinely surprises them, right?
Right.
And I think you get them like the very idea, like maybe Big E's a big guy, so he's a powerful guy, so it's not as surprising for him. But the very idea of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston going in and ripping these giants' heads off for a one-off to just show that they've got that type of aggression in their back pocket makes them more enjoyable when they're goofy again, because the next team that thinks they can get one up on them, it's like, oh fuck, these guys are all fun and games. Make sure you keep it that way, or else you're going to get your head ripped off. I think you could have a cool dynamic with them like that. Not all the time. It would be like friggin' Finn Balor turning into the Demon. You don't do it very often. Maybe once or twice a year. But to have that, just you have to do it once so that the crowd knows you can do it, and then you can go back to all the fun stuff. And then you still get the people behind them for the fun stuff that they're known for. I think it just adds another layer, another dimension of possibility to who they are as a team.
Actually, I was just thinking about this. One cool thing that they could add to the New Day, it's kind of like when they're not pissed, have them be like they are basically right now, which unicorn loving guys. But then if you piss them off, have it where they become like Joker-like characters, where they're goofy but in a dark way.
That so not they're not so much angry, more like crazy.
Pretty much, they go from goofy, and then when you really get to them, they get like Joker type crazy, and they're to the point where even their attire changes.
That could work. I'm not gonna lie, that could work a lot. That might almost be better because for them to do some of the goofy shit that they do, some part of them, JBL always makes fun of them. They're wacky, they're goofy, they're crazy, they don't know what they're doing. How funny would it be if JBL's sitting there calling them crazy week after week, and they prove that they actually are? I like that idea. I like that a lot, actually. New Day, I guess New Day being the sort of underdogs, New Day being the champions, New Day being the team that's actually sticking together. It doesn't make sense for them to lose this, but they got to figure out some sort of creative way to make me believe that New Day beat because Bray Wyatt, when he was injured, went out, lost a lot of weight, and came back. But Strowman and Rowan, you're going to tell me that New Day, even Big E, who's built, isn't particularly big. You got to do something to make me think that these guys can beat the Wyatts, because if these guys do beat the Wyatts, I'm not going to mind.
No, me either. Um,
And once again, it goes back to the whole like the Wyatts have split up now, or at least 2/3 of them have split up, so they don't need to win as a big faction.
yeah, you're right. They don't have to. And again, I'm still trying to let it sink in that Braun Strowman could possibly be a singles wrestler, but
No, not
but
possibly, man. He is. He
oh
is.
god, just
Did you watch the supplemental draft?
I did, but again though, it's just like you for
I don't know.
real.
I got Alexa Bliss. I'm good. I got Breezango. I'm good. I got Becky Lynch. I'm good. I'm wearing the blue shirt, bud. That's just how it's
Oh,
gonna go.
same here, man. And I love Breezango too, man. I don't get why people hate them. You know what they remind me of? Have you ever seen that movie A Night at the Roxbury?
Yeah, I'm not
They
gonna
kind of
lie.
remind me of.
I could do like they took two guys that had sort of gimmicks that were kind of failing and put them together as a team. But the problem is they mashed up the gimmicks as well. I think genuinely, um, if they pulled back on the gimmicks a little bit, I think you could have like a London and Kendrick type of light light athletic, maybe not most thought of like sort of an underdog in the tag team division because they're not big guys. I mean, Fandango had his one match at WrestleMania with Jericho, and then we see where he ended up. Tyler Breeze debuted on SmackDown, and that's before SmackDown was live. So that's what they thought of him at the time. But the gimmicks were only going to last. Fandango was only going to last for so long. The Tyler Breeze, the guy with the fun fur and the selfies and all that shit was only going to last for so long. It works on NXT. That goes for look at the Ascension as well. Ascension worked at NXT, doesn't really work now. Same thing with Tyler Breeze. But you got Johnny Curtis, the guy behind Fandango and whatever Tyler Breeze's real name is. Sort of strip them down a little bit, make them a little simpler. Um, pull back on the gimmick, let them go out there and have a couple athletic matches under their belts, and let the crowd sort of reintroduce to them. Because I think it's like the New Day thing. Like if you get rid of the goofiness a little bit, I think these guys are meshing into a pretty damn good team.
Right. And again, to be honest, I think the WWE does want to kind of take them seriously, but then they kind of don't because they really have nothing for them. At the end of the day, it's like, well, all the other tag teams are busy, so
Well, it looked
yeah.
like for a while, and I don't know whether this was just me or whether you agree, but it looked like they were building to sort of like a kickoff match at Battleground between them and the Lucha Dragons, but then the Lucha Dragons split up. Because
Um,
I wouldn't have minded that, like Lucha Dragons versus Breezango, like not for anything, just on the kickoff match, just a fun match to get everybody going type thing. But that could have been a good little match.
it really could have. I agree with you, and I think just because of their gimmicks, people underrate what Fandango and
Yeah.
Tyler Breeze can do in the ring. They're actually very good if you really just let them go at it.
Well, when people saw what like here's the difference though is like when Fandango was on NXT, he was Johnny Curtis. He was the creepy guy with like the greasy hair and all that and all the shit that he did. If he had just come up to the main roster as Johnny Curtis, I think he would have taken off because he would have been a great fucking heel. Tyler Breeze was sort of loved on NXT because he was the Dolph Ziggler on NXT. He was the guy going in when there was a big new name coming in. He would go in, bump around like a bandit, lose the match, like job out, be the rag doll. But he was really good at making everybody else look good. Like he fought Apollo Crews, he fought Jushin Thunder Liger, he fought Baron Corbin, like all these guys that they were trying to push. They put them with Tyler Breeze because Tyler Breeze made them look good. And in the process, the crowd started getting a respect for Tyler Breeze. But that was the smart mark crowd. You put him on the main roster, and people shout on the gimmick from Jump Street, and people shout on the Fandango gimmick from Jump Street. So like they weren't set up in the best way because you can't, as much as a lot of us watch both, you can't treat the WWE crowd the same way you treat the NXT crowd, and you can't expect the same things.
Yeah, and to be
Like Bo
to be honest,
Dallas was never gonna be received in WWE like he was received in NXT. Like doing the whole
I
like Bo Train gimmick and all that.
I I, I actually had an idea for these two. a while ago. Maybe it's irrelevant. I don't know. Because who knows what they're gonna do with Bo now? But I actually wanted Tyler Breeze, Fandango, uh, who else? Curtis Axel and Adam Rose in a tag team. But wait, hold on. I know you're about to say, oh, that's a social outcast like 2.0. It's like, but Bo Dallas would have stayed with the same gimmick, and basically they would have been followers of Bo, where they believe, hey, as long as we believe, we can succeed. So basically, he would have been. It would have been like Bo's religion, I guess, in a way.
So you're talking about sort of like when Shannon Moore was the Mattitude follower.
Basically, except they
What,
didn't
like
view
a
him as
crew?
like a pro. They won't view Bo as a brute. It would just be like, oh, you're my motivational coach. I come here because as long as I believe and I praise you, I can win on the roster.
That could have worked, man. Like, that really could have worked. The way they threw the social outcasts together was very, very blatantly, here's a group of everybody that nobody cares about. What's up? Michael S. says, what's up, guys? And says, fuck the eighth man. Well, there's only two of us, so that's a thing. But yeah, we've gone very, very far afield from talking about the New Day versus the Wyatt family. But yeah, I'm pulling for New Day in this one. I want it to look like an upset, but I want them to pull the upset here.
Yeah, New Day for me too.
All right, Sammy. Okay, here we go. I am not an ROH fan. I've seen a couple shows here and there, but I won't say that I have knowledge of ROH. So I didn't have the built-in excitement of El Generico and Kevin Steen coming to NXT. I didn't have that. I saw what they could do when they got to NXT as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and it's cool going forward, but they really need to find something else to do with these guys. Like, desperately.
Oh man, I was doing a live reaction on some other YouTube channel, and yeah, I was just saying, I'm like, why are these guys keep fighting? It's like, dude, I understand you're trying to give me the illusion that these guys just can't stand each other, but it's like, enough's enough. Just break them up. And then when I found out they got drafted on the same roster, I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
the fact that
And Randy Orton and Cena are on the same roster too? Huh?
you know what? I'm okay with Randy Orton and John Cena being on the main roster. I'm a little more nervous about Roman Reigns being on Raw than I am about John Cena and Randy Orton being on SmackDown. And I'll tell you why. Because John Cena, as much as people give him shit, hasn't been hogging the main event at all. Hasn't been in the title picture. Hasn't even really been fighting with people that are in the title picture. He's mixing it up with all the new talent that's just come up from NXT. Yeah, that helps his popularity as well. But like, he hasn't touched a title other than the US title, which he used to make other people look good. And he's really been like sort of like a locker room leader type character, just sort of doing his own thing and sort of given that upper spot to other people. I don't think Randy Orton's going to be in the title picture. Randy Orton is the same thing, but he's the other way. His immediate first opponent is Brock Lesnar, which doesn't take anything away from anybody else. I've always said, there's certain people that are kind of above the main event, like an Undertaker, like a Triple H, like a Brock Lesnar, like a John Cena at this point. I think like Randy Orton at this point. So you have them having these like special matches here and there that really aren't attached to anything, which is fine because they still get their spotlight. But the people that are actually making up the main event right now don't get anything taken away from them. And I think that's good. And I think having those guys mixing it up on SmackDown with some of the new people that we have coming up is going to be a big thing. I think it's really going to be a big thing. I would have liked to see Finn Balor versus Randy Orton, but we can always have that later on, like next year when they do a new draft lottery type of thing, right? But for all the stuff that we say about John Cena, he's still corny. Yeah, he doesn't sell worth a damn. Yeah, he squashes people in his actual matches. But, like, just look where he is and look at, like, compared to, every pay-per-view. Cena's the champion. Cena's going to win. Cena wins, LOL, hashtag and still, all those things. Like, they're just not factors as much anymore. And I don't think Randy Orton will be either. I mean, they can rehash the John Cena Randy Orton feud, but it's not taking it. It'll happen in the mid card.
Yeah, a good point. And I think the people who do say that about Cena, about how he's doing this and that, they don't understand that wrestling is also a business, and as long as he's still making money for them, as long as he's still getting publicity, he's gonna have a job, and it's just plain and simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like, and I got to be clear on this too. It's not like I've suddenly become a John Cena fan. I've just I've calmed down on it a little bit, I guess, if that makes sense. I've taken a look at what he does. I've taken a look at what he does for the company, and I know that's a very WWE answer, but he does a lot for the company. He did the thing on the SBs the other night. He does, all the fucking, like, you can't touch the guy for charity work. Like,
No.
you just can't. And I know everybody says, well, they only show John Cena doing this stuff, and they don't show other people. Yeah, other people do charity too. Other people aren't walking out a Make-A-Wish with a 500 wishes granted fucking trophy or whatever. Like, you can't. Like, I've always said, I don't want to see John Cena on my TV screen, but if I had a chance to sit down and have a drink with the guy, I probably would.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's easy.
I don't think he's a bad guy. Like, I've never thought that he's a bad guy. But it's just, at the same time, not being mean, just being honest. He doesn't do anything for me on my TV. He doesn't do anything for me personally as a fan watching the show, being in that ring. But I can respect what he brings, and I can respect what other people see in him, and I can definitely, after a couple of years of venting about it, I can see what the company sees in him. So, like, I can't get angry about it anymore. And I mean, Randy Orton is a step below John Cena. So I don't think, like, the new talent that's trying to come up now, especially the way they're presenting SmackDown, being run by Shane, being run by Daniel Bryan, we want new people to succeed. We want the underdogs to get their spotlight. The way they're giving SmackDown its personality already, I don't think that would even fit on SmackDown if John Cena was, like, all of a sudden in the main event again.
Yeah, I agree with you. No matter what, it will always be the Macho Man Randy Savage to John Cena Hulk Hogan. This is the
And you know what, man? That's okay. If you're in the
Yeah.
if you're in the WWE and the only person above you on the roster is John Cena, you're doing pretty fucking good.
Oh, I'm pretty sure if he became a free agent, TNA needs to kind of.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Every year I say it at least once. Can you imagine if John Cena ever fucked off and left WWE and went to TNA?
Oh, TNA would have a lot of publicity then.
Oh my god. And I think WWE would go into panic mode. They'd be like, we need to push somebody else. Quick. Roman's on drugs again. Who are you? You get over here. Are you Samoan? Even better.
Yeah, I know, right?
Put the title back on Hogan, brother.
Hey, come here, Randy. Come here. See, Cena left, so I just want to say, now's your big break. So
Yeah.
go out there, freak guys.
Nice. Here's my prediction for Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. We're not going to have a clean winner. Because these two ending up on the same show tells me that the whole, like, this is their last fight is bullshit. I don't think there's going to be a winner in this match. I mean, the fans are going to win because it's going to be a good match, but there's not going to be a decisive victory in the match.
I'll say it. This is my full thoughts on that match. I don't give a fuck.
I can't say I don't give a fuck because when you strip the story and the character and all that away, I think this is going to be one of the better matches of the night. And I will flip script and be like, I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the storyline, but is it going to give me a good match? Then fucking hell yeah. But it's basically only on that I'm saying it. So, they'll do some clusterfuck. I'm sure they'll do some stipulation match at SummerSlam because this. Remember when they, after the Royal Rumble and after whatever the next pay-per-view after that was, remember when they did Roadblock before WrestleMania?
Oh, yeah.
I was there. It was interesting, but you knew nothing was really going to happen. Although I will say, live, Triple H versus Dean Ambrose was a fucking good match.
I bet, man.
I think this is basically the roadblock to SummerSlam.
Yeah, it could be, and like you said, it's gonna be a good match. But still, I'm not that type of fan where it's like it's either you meet in ring work or nothing. I mean, I prefer more of like a story
Oh no,
type match.
I'm not saying give me in ring work or nothing. Like if it's a good story.
Oh no, no, I'm not saying you are, but it's just
Right.
for me personally. It's
Yeah. If the match absolutely sucks, I'm not going to care about the story. If the story absolutely sucks, but the match is fantastic, I can forgive that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's just me. Obviously, you want to have both. Like, and that brings us to the main event, which is Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus the Wellness Policy. I mean, Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship, which Dean Ambrose just won clean tonight from against Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns has been off for a month.
Uh,
I
is it
know,
fair to?
I know that WWE has been holding off and planning the Shield triple threat match for a long time now, but I'm sorry. I try to give Roman Reigns the benefit of the doubt. I try to make sure that people aren't overreacting when they talk about like how bad he is. I really do. I try to have the guys back a little bit. You can't be suspended for a wellness policy or suspended for any reason and walk back into a title shot. This was my big problem with Titus O'Neil. You did something wrong, you fucked up. The crowd riled up. They basically guilt tripped you into giving you a shot against Rusev. That's Titus O'Neil's story. This WWE did all on their own. You were suspended, but if we act on your suspension, it's going to ruin our story. So for the sake of our story, you're still in a main event at a pay-per-view after being suspended for a month. So I don't agree with that. But yet again, I'm like everybody else. I want the triple threat. So I'm kind of a hypocrite on that one. I'm pulling for Dean because I want SmackDown to keep the title. I want the new world title to go to Raw. Now that dynamic has been set, now that Rollins and Reigns are both on Raw, and Dean Ambrose is the only one in this triple threat representing SmackDown, and we know we're going to get a new world title, I want Dean Ambrose and the Blue Brand to keep the WWE title and let Raw do whatever they're going to do after that.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of obvious that Dean's gonna win in a way. I want Seth to win because I hate Dean. For anyone that knows me, I hate Dean Ambrose almost with the passion, almost. Um, and
Can I
as for
ask why?
Roman, he's just so overrated and kind of shoved down our throats to an extent by the fans. And it's like really not that great. Like, I think the mid Carter is looking at me like,
You're cutting a little bit, bro.
uh, um, I said he's kind of like a mid Carter living a main eventer's dream. You know what I mean? And on top of that, he
So
shoved
he's
down our
Daniel
throats.
Bryan.
But huh?
So he's Daniel Bryan.
Pretty much. I don't like it to run a lot more.
You've been watching my channel a long time. You know what I think about WrestleMania 30.
Oh, almost 2.5 years actually.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I think there's very few people that have asked me more questions in my Q&As than you have, honestly. It's all good. When I start talking about the usual suspects, it's like you and Zohan and a couple of other people who are great, by the way. All you guys, Q&A is coming in like 20 days. Get your shit in. You guys know what to do. I'm feeling lazy tonight, but you guys know what to do. Yeah, honestly, Seth Rollins, when he made his comeback, his match was supposed to be against Roman Reigns, right? Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are the ones that they're keeping on the same show. So Dean Ambrose, they've used Dean Ambrose to take the title away, and if these guys continue on Raw to fight for whatever their new world title is going to be, I think that'll be good. I really do.
Yeah.
Because then you got Dean Ambrose can work with AJ Styles. He can work with um, he can work with Orton if Orton comes back as a heel. I think Ambrose and Orton was never something they really touched on one too much. I think it was more when they were fighting the Shield. I think Randy Orton feuded more with Roman Reigns. So the Viper versus the Lunatic could be something that we see. I am interested though, if as long as they keep Finn Balor face, put the new Raw, whatever it's going to be, title on Rollins. I don't want Roman to win because drugs are bad. So let Roman and him establish let Rollins and Roman establish Rollins as the new Raw champion, and then your next contender is Finn Balor, and then you got Balor versus Rollins. I mean, like,
yeah,
not right now because he just got drafted, but I'm saying like down the line.
oh yeah, that should be good. But I'll be honest, I think the Roman Reigns thing is kind of a work. I really do.
I've said that too, but
like, how are you suspended but yet you still get on TV? It's like, you know.
well, people are saying that they knew about the violation on the Saturday and they still let him perform on the Sunday. So it's like, but I don't know. I have to believe that part's not true because I mean, with all the controversy around like head injuries and wellness policy and all the shit that CM Punk said when he left, I doubt that they're gonna let somebody that they think is drugged up go out and do a main event. Like, again, I'm gonna say I'm the big Jeff Hardy fan, but that fuck up that he had in TNA like 4 or 5 years ago with Sting, fuck man, that broke my heart.
That was funny though, man. Freaking Jeff Hardy seemed lost on his way there. He was like,
and you get Sting like 2 minutes later, he's walking out with the belt, and like the one fan that's standing right behind him is like, "This is bullshit," and he's like, "Yeah, I know." Like, this is the thing though. Like, people when that happened, people expected that I was going to defend Jeff Hardy because I'm a huge fan. No, because I'm a huge fan of his, I'm going to be harder on him than the critics are. Because like I expect more. You know what I mean? And I mean the same thing for Roman Reigns. Like, Roman Reigns isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread, obviously, but like I want it to be like Dean Ambrose goes off with the title. They say, well, you guys are the only ones on Raw in the past little while that have been fighting for their title. Now we have to establish a title. You guys might as well fight over it. And I want Rollins to just walk into a match and fucking smoke Roman Reigns. Like, just have it be like the last 10 minutes of a Raw. Don't waste a pay-per-view on it. But just Rollins goes in there and absolutely fucking owns Roman Reigns. And pulls like a Triple H length reign. Like, let him go a year. And after about a year or so, they do some like random ass tournament, battle royal, whatever you want to do. Have Finn Balor win that. Next year, your feud for the Raw title is Rollins versus Balor.
And here's my thing real quick about Roman. I don't know if you know this. I'm a big Roman fan. I think Roman's awesome. He's something different, at least for today's wrestling. He's something different that we don't get to see every day about wrestling fans. It was pretty much just a presence and an ass-kicking, wrestling style for him. I've heard that not to go on a fantasy draft real quick again, but I heard that they're going to do a redemption storyline, right, with him. And I was thinking, there's only one way to do that correctly. And that's basically have Roman lose that battleground, have him come out, I believe he was drafted to Raw, have him come out on Raw, give a very passionate promo. And already there's that seed that Stephanie hates Roman. We'll have Stephanie tell Roman, hey, bye-bye out of the main event scene, and if you really want to be here again, you're going to have to start all the way back from the bottom. And I'm talking about to the point where he's facing Zack Ryder type talent, and have it where he's so passionate and so just disgusted that he has to do this all over again, to the point where every person he sees, he just whips their ass.
Yeah, like, he's not really a bad guy or a good guy. He's just like fuming and he just destroys everybody. I like the idea. Right. You got to start down from the bottom. Like, this week you're facing Jack Swagger. Next week you're facing R-Truth. Next week you're facing fucking Gold Dust. Next week you're facing Heath Slater. And just like, but like, keep it at that level. And like, I don't want to say make it like Goldberg, because it wouldn't be like Goldberg, but like, have it be like where he's stubborn. Like, he doesn't get pissed off right away, but he starts off just stubborn. And he's just like, okay, you got this in my face today. Boom. What's next? Boom.
Yeah, and also have it where have one segment where him and Stephanie cut a promo, and he's telling Stephanie, thanks to you, bitch,
I'm not able to give my family that much money as I would like, because you're obviously not getting paid more than you would for a main event, right?
Obviously.
I haven't worked to you, bitch. I can't give my daughter what she wants, what she asked for now. Thanks to you, it's harder to feed my family. So I'm just gonna say fuck you, and I will kick anyone's ass you put in my way to get back to the top.
So you're saying like almost like a Kevin Owens type of promo.
Yeah, except as a more badass,
Yeah,
I guess you would say, tweener.
not so heel, but you know, like it would
Yeah.
be babyface-ish because he's saying it to Stephanie McMahon, but you're basically talking about like the Kevin Owens frame of mind,
Right.
which he could pull off a lot better. Because, like I say, like the problem that I have with Roman, and it's such a YWC thing to say. You know, it's not him, it's the writers, but it kind of is because you can't say the guy's not talented in the ring.
Oh yeah, you
You
can.
really can't. Like by no means, and I'll say the same thing about Dean Ambrose, right? But like Roman, he's by far not the best, and nobody should stand up and say that he's the best. But he's very, very far from being like the shitty. Like the way some people talk about him, you'd think he was the fucking Great Khali.
I know, right?
And I mean, yeah, he botches, but like, I hate to break it to you guys, Daniel Bryan botched, CM Punk botched, AJ Styles botches. Everybody botches. You know, we had that big scare with Enzo at the begin a couple months ago when he had the concussion right in the middle of the ring. Like shit happens. Friggin' The Miz dropped R-Truth right out of the ring a couple of years ago. It happens. And I mean, the guy's a powerhouse. Like the more power you've got behind what you're doing, the more impactful and the more maybe detrimental your botches are going to be. So obviously he's under a higher microscope, but like he's not the only one.
Right.
Sorry,
And
I'm kind of ignoring the chat here for a little bit. Michael S has joined us. He says he likes the new Cena and the Club and the New Day and Enzo and Cass. It's kind of refreshing. There really isn't a lot to bitch with Cena anymore because he isn't in the main event storylines. That's kind of my point. Like he's still John Cena. Like you're not going to lose the like, oh my god, it's John Cena thing, but he's doing that away from the main event. So that was the point I was trying to make earlier. Thanks for that. But going back to Roman Reigns, like he's not bad. Like the stuff that he has to do himself, the physical stuff, is great. The stuff that's handed to him is fucking terrible. He's getting the same kind of goofy ass promos that we were talking about the Club doing earlier.
Yeah, and again, it's so hard to just be like, because I feel like it's easy to just blame the writers, like, oh, it's the writers' fault. But like, truth of the matter is, it's also depending on how you deliver what the writers write. Like for example, The Rock, he's actually said he has some of his stuff scripted, but since The Rock has charisma and he's able to deliver in a way that just catches you, it goes to show that you have to have some type of charisma in pro wrestling, or else you're just gonna fail. You know what I mean? Like
but it did. I think it corresponded with The Rock though, because there's always an element, even when he was a heel, there was an element of what he said that was supposed to be funny, so that when the WWE writers came up with something goofy, he could come off like and make the goofy funny. They're trying to present Roman Reigns as this big powerhouse, as this big wrecking machine, which they should because he is, and he shows it in the ring. But you can't make that work with goofy writing. That's where
right, but
the Rock. Okay, Rock is infinitely better on the mic. Let's not quite.
Oh yeah.
But I think in that case, Roman Reigns, you can be funny with goofball material. You can't be a badass like this. Like I say, this killing machine in the ring, like you were saying a second ago, with goofy material, like the whole Roman Reigns and the Beanstalk bullshit. Like that doesn't jive with the way they present him.
Right, I agree with you, but like my whole point is like, I think a lot of wrestlers, they get so caught up in the whole physical and in-ring aspect of wrestling to the point where they forget that they actually got to entertain, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, look at and there's two guys I'm going to bring up right now, and they had a really shitty match about 15 years ago at WrestleMania. But look at Goldberg, and look at Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is not entertaining. That's why we have Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar goes in there, is physical as fuck, and destroys people. And Goldberg, when he was in his prime in WCW, that was what he did. Like, you could Like, okay, not obviously not with the streak and all that, because that would be a bit cheese, but like just the way that they booked Goldberg, you could have been similar with 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 Roman Reigns. I think that kind of booking would be, let him talk less. You know,
Right.
Goldberg. All he really said was who's next. Like the who's like I destroyed somebody. He's already laying at my feet. Okay, who's next? Literally, that was his question to the fucking world. And when he was in the Shield, he did the whole believe that, right? Like he could have something. Okay, this would be a little bit cheesy, but I think it would work. Would be like let him go in there and destroy somebody like Goldberg did, and to his opponent who's like unconscious on the ground, just be like, "Do you believe me now?" or some shit like that. Like something short, sweet, and to the point. Because where he's good with a short promo, I've noticed. But it's when they give him a lot to say and he gets lost in what I think he gets lost in what he's saying. And that's his loss. That's him falling down. But WWE needs to work with that. Paul Heyman always says, accentuate what you're good at, pull back on what you're bad at. If you can't deliver a lot of information, give him a little bit of information to deliver. Let him do the rest of his talking with his fists. Like everybody's got a slightly different scale of skills,
Right. I agree with you that. And by the way, Dedo, you can take this if you want to too. Instead of having it where he goes believe that, why not just have it where like when somebody asks him a question or something like that, just be like, cock his fist and just be like, punch first, ask questions later. Like I punch first and ask questions later or something like that.
Yeah, something. And you know what? If it's
Yeah.
if it's a short, sweet soundbite like that, if it's a little corny, it'll catch on. The whole like,
Right.
I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a good guy, I'm the guy. Like that wasn't gonna work. That's Vince McMahon taking something that probably worked 20 years ago and thinking it worked then, it'll work now.
It did to an extent work because people are saying that now a lot in the wrestling. They're like, "Oh, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm just the guy." But they're making up their own
Yeah,
version.
but how often are they saying it not mocking him though? Like when there's a bad show, kayfabe. I've heard him say on more than one occasion when Raw was kind of bad, it wasn't a good show, it wasn't a bad show, it was the show. And so, yeah,
Right.
people are using it and it's catching on, but it's not the phrase that's catching on, it's mocking Roman Reigns that's catching on. And I don't think that's what we're trying to achieve here.
Well, yeah, true, but like, it's still over. It's like, in a way, you're kind of like, for the people that hate Roman, that telling him he doesn't have talent. In a way, you're kind of contradicting yourself because I'm pretty sure you're the same one. Whether it's mocking or not, you're still saying his catchphrase.
Okay, well, no, this is where I will say that the fans give Roman Reigns a hard time. Like when he fought Seth Rollins, it was a good match, and he pulled off some. Oh, I don't remember what he did, but he did something off the apron or whatever, and it was good. And the crowd started chanting, "You still suck." And so basically, that was the obnoxious ass crowd being like, "Hey, you're doing good things, but we're not going to admit it. We're still going to tell you you suck."
Yeah.
Like that's the crowd being marks for themselves a little bit, and that has its place on NXT, but it doesn't work. Again, it's one of those things. It doesn't work as well in a main event scenario. But that's the crowd proving that, like, even if Roman Reigns does do something great, they're not going to admit it. So at that point, it's not on Roman. It's on the crowd being dicks.
Right, and this is one of my issues with wrestling fans now is that, they don't go to wrestling events to actually enjoy the show. They go there because they want to become the show. And, it's one of those things, to me, wrestling every week on Monday and Tuesday now, it's kind of like a movie, right? You can't judge it till you've seen it, and you can have your opinion about the trailer, if you will. But again, like you do at the movies, mark out for the stuff that's good. Boo the stuff you don't like, you know what I mean? But don't try to take over the show. And at the same time, don't just sit on your hands all day. You know how annoying that is for the people watching on TV where it's like, do something, dude. Do something.
What I don't like is the people out there that judge whether a match is good or not by whether their guy won.
Right.
Or like if they predicted a story was going to go this way, but it went the other way. But the other way that WWE chose to go is really good, and they're doing good with it. It's like, okay, some guy predicts okay, at the next pay-per-view, I bet it's going to be AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. And instead, AJ Styles and Sami Zayn go and have a 5-star match. But it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense because it's not what I thought it was going to be. And I was wrong and I feel silly. So I'm going to say that the match sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, man, I agree with you. And again, it pains me to say this, but it's true. Fans are going to have their biases, whether we like it or not. But you know, like it's like fine, okay, have your bias, but again, don't judge something before you see it. You know what I mean? Like for example, one of my favorite actors is Johnny Depp, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's Johnny Depp, so it's automatically a good movie.
And you're not going to find some on the other side of the coin. You're not going to take somebody you don't like and automatically not go see the movie either.
Right. Right.
Like, okay, I don't like Naomi, for example. Big surprise, right? But one day, I tell you this, man. One day she's going to surprise me and have a good match. And when it happens, I will put my dentures in, I will get out of my walker, and I will find whatever the video equipment of the time is. I will revamp this channel and say that Naomi had a good match. But until then, not so much. I don't know. Like I said, there's two things I'm not going to see now because American Alpha and Alexa Bliss got drafted to the main roster, which I'm so happy about. 2 matches I wanted to see in NXT, and you've probably heard me talk about them. I wanted to see Alexa Bliss versus Asuka, and I wanted to see the American Alpha versus Ciampa and Gargano. I'm not going to see those matches just yet because those 2 people have moved up. I'm not going to sit here and bitch, though, because the reason I'm not going to see those matches is because the people that I support have moved higher. So I'd be a big hypocrite if I complained about people that I like succeeding.
Right. Although there were some draft choices to me today that were just like, huh, like Nia Jax.
Oh, I could give fucks less about Nia Jax and Eva Marie.
It just had me scratching. Oh, I actually like Eva Marie, believe it or not. I feel like she's actually a very good heel.
She is the new Bella. Because she's not that great in the ring, I don't think, personally. But this is what people did to the Bellas, right? Bellas were by no means the best in the division. They were never the best in the division. Like, that's a thing. My problem was they were not nearly as bad as people made them out to be either.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, Nikki Bella is really talented. As for Brie, I'm in between. And Eva Marie, she's such a heel magnet, though, to the point where, like, okay, here's the thing. It's hard to get actual heel heat in today's wrestling because kayfabe is dead. So, in order to find someone that can get heat like Eva Marie or The Miz is rare. And if you do find those people, sign them because that means that people hate.
Can you imagine? Okay, if in kayfabe Maurice left the Miz, and the Miz was managed by Eva Marie.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Or no, how's this for a main event? Miz and Maurice versus Eva Marie and Roman Reigns.
Oh, you know, fans would be like 0 out of 10 for this episode of Raw. Fuck everything.
Even if it's great. Even if somehow, okay, I don't think it would work. I don't think Eva Marie's that great. Maurice hasn't wrestled in a long time. Miz and Roman Reigns, I don't think, would work very well together. But if those 4 managed to pull off a really good match, nobody would admit it.
And actually, you just kind of opened up a new can of worms for me. People already hate Roman, so why not make Eva Marie his valet?
It's so good. No, just fucking make Nia Jax his fucking valet.
Oh my god, he could be like Shawn Michaels in China.
Can you imagine? Here it is. Here's the shtick right here. Out comes Roman Reigns and the Usos with Naomi, Tamina, and Nia Jax.
Oh man.
To Rikishi's music.
Hold the Too Cool shit, or are we talking about
no. And any of Rikishi's music, just because family thing. I'm going somewhere here. And they all get their ass kicked by The Rock and Samoa Joe, who they're not even related to. Anyways, we took a long way around on that one. I hope Dean wins on Sunday. How about you?
No, I really don't.
No, who you pulling for? Rollins?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Seth Rollins.
All right. He really has gotten the shaft since he got back from his injury. He held the title for like 2 seconds, and then he's had 2 matches in a row with Dean, and he's just kind of looked like an idiot at the end because the endings have been kind of shit. I do wonder what they're going to do with a world title on Raw or whichever brand doesn't have a title. I've seen the image floating around of the silver version of the old Winged Eagle belt that's sort of modernized. If that is the new belt that they're using, it's fucking fantastic. If not, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. I want to see what they're doing with the women's title. They're going to have the champion defend on both brands because they're not going to bring back the Divas belts. Or at least I hope not.
Yeah, a little bit off topic considering we went into the Divas, but why is Seth Rollins still a heel? Like, do they not realize people are ready to cheer him? Like,
yeah, but this is the thing though, right? Is like people cheer the heels now. Like people cheer, like people won't boo you if you're a heel. They'll cheer you because you're doing a good job of being a heel. Like the crowd is smarter. The crowd, it's like when Jerry Lawler used to refer to up here in Canada as Bizarro World, because we never really followed who was good and bad. We cheered for who was good and who sucked. You know what I mean? And I think not saying that Canada set the trend or anything like that, but I think more of the world is like that now. Like people don't boo Sheamus because he's a heel. They boo him because he kind of sucks sometimes. Friggin' Baron Corbin. I don't mind him, but I think they brought him up from NXT a little early, and I think there's a lot of people out there that think he sucks. So they're not booing him because he's a heel. They're booing him because he's not somebody that they like. CM Punk proved this. CM Punk, when Paul Bearer legitimately died in real life, Paul Bearer, beloved manager to fucking everybody, died, and CM Punk pretended to take a bath in his ashes on the rampway to end Monday Night Raw, and people still cheered CM Punk.
yeah, and I hate CM Punk. That's another guy I can't really stand. But yeah, that was kind of genius.
You get my point, though, right? Like,
yeah, that was a genius move.
Being a bad guy isn't going to get you booed anymore. Being a bad wrestler is going to get you booed.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, man. The whole, like, the way the fan views wrestling on it is just kind of weird, to the point where, like I said, kayfabe's dead, and if you think about it, the fact that the generation has changed so much on how people view wrestling, it makes the job a lot harder on the writers. So again, maybe, it's one of those things where the writers just don't know what to do. They haven't adapted to the new era yet.
I think they need to do more of. Do you remember when they first presented The Rock versus John Cena for WrestleMania? And
Yes.
both guys cut the promo on the other. Both guys got a little rude. Both guys got a little risky in their promos. Both guys took cheap shots at the other. But there was a feud, but there wasn't a good guy and a bad guy. Like the crowd literally fell 50-50. I think the writers need to realize that they're going to have more things like that. Okay, it's a bad example because we're all getting sick of it now, but look at Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. People love Sami Zayn. People love Kevin Owens. They're going to cheer for the match. They're going to cheer for the fact that two guys that they like are the ones in the story, not somebody they like and somebody they can't stand because they don't find them to be that good. Like a heel and a babyface, as far as the crowd is concerned, if you can't wrestle, you're a heel. If you're awesome at wrestling, you're a babyface, no matter what your character is doing in the story. And I think WWE, and I don't know what the answer is, I think the WWE needs to come up with a different way of writing to get around that. I'm not saying take a heel and a guy you want to make heel and make him wrestle badly, because that's not what we're going for. But it's a problem they have to solve. I don't know what the answer is for that one for them. I wouldn't want to have their job, to be quite honest with you, because that's a tough one. Anyways, two more quick things, because that's the end of the card for Battleground. two more things that I want to say. One is on a personal note, because I'm going to Survivor Series in November, because we're actually getting a pay-per-view in Canada. By the time we get to Survivor Series, will we see a Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series match?
I say yes. I say there's no way they don't have one, actually.
Because after SummerSlam, nobody's going to touch anybody, because we're all going to have like individual pay-per-views, apparently. I really hope they do a Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series, rather than like having this separate like battleground bragging rights pay-per-view, because that was all like, let's do Raw versus SmackDown instead of, forwarding our own storylines and fighting for our own titles. But I think Survivor Series gives you the perfect opportunity. Have that be the one time a year that Raw fights against SmackDown. If you want to have an interpromotional match like SummerSlam is going to be, because Orton and Lesnar are on separate brands, then cool. Have it, the GMs are behind their respective guys, obviously, but you're more so just pumping up the match itself. Now, because we like to do celebrity stuff, and because WrestleMania is so far away, but I've already heard rumors about 2 matches. Both challenges were made about a week or 2 weeks ago on various other forms of sports media. One was Bray Wyatt challenging The Rock for WrestleMania, and the other was The Big Show challenging Shaquille O'Neal.
I'd rather take The Rock and Bray Wyatt. What the fuck? Like, I get people don't take Big Show seriously nowadays. They're done with him. But just hearing about that match just makes me want to throw up.
I don't know. They got, I won't say a good reaction, but they got a reaction when Shaq showed up last year in the Andre Battle Royal, and they did a little bit of stuff with him in the Big Show. And I'm not going to lie, Big Show's at that point in his career where he's really done everything he can do. So if he wants to do something goofy like this at WrestleMania for the sake of getting some headlines for WWE, keep it short. Keep it like a 2 or 3 minute thing. The two bulls collide because they're both huge guys. If they want to do that, have a bit of fun with it. Don't treat it too seriously like they did with the Akibono thing, like they did with the Floyd Mayweather thing. I wouldn't entirely be against it because it could be a little bit of fun. But just on the mic alone, Bray Wyatt and The Rock.
That's the match I want, man. That, like you said, on the mic, this could be a potential classic feud for the modern era. Just wow.
I mean, like, we saw what happened at WrestleMania this year. Rock, Cena was still kind of injured, so they had him in a segment instead of a match, which is fine. That makes sense. John Cena still brings eyes to the show, so they had to put him on there somewhere. They stuck him on there with The Rock. They've earned respect for each other, and the two of them fought the Wyatt family. It was a good little segment. I mean, if you're going to use The Rock in a segment, if you're going to have John Cena there, but you can't have him in a match, I think Bray Wyatt was also injured at the time, but you want to get him because he's a big attraction as well. I think what they put together at WrestleMania was the best thing they could have done considering all the situations that were happening at the time. But you walked away from that segment being like, there has to be a Rock versus Bray Wyatt match at some point.
Here's my only flaw about that, is that if they do Bray versus The Rock, and The Rock wins...
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It just goes to show us, hey, Bray Wyatt's going to be irrelevant once again, and then we're going to go through this whole cycle with Bray again.
But here's the thing, though. It's not like Undertaker, where we had to maintain the streak because there were people out there that were more a fan of the streak than they were of the Undertaker. So that created a very odd scenario because obviously, if you got a veteran and a young guy at WrestleMania, you want the younger guy to go over. Like, that is wrestling logic. The fact that the streak was a factor really threw that offside from what you would typically do. But I think, and here's a heavy statement that I didn't think of until just now, Undertaker doesn't have very many more WrestleManias left. Like, I'm not saying that to be a downer. I'm not saying that to be sad or anything like that. But it's true. The guy's, like, however old, he's done more than his fair share for the company. Any day now he wants to call up Vince and say, look, man, I'm done. Nobody can really hold that against him. Fair?
Yeah, but before, again, like you said, the Undertaker, before he decides to retire, there's one thing I'm not gonna say has to do, because obviously he's the Undertaker, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But but it would be very cool if he did the honor in solidifying Bray Wyatt, if letting Bray Wyatt beat him at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. But
that would be
here's
the best
thing,
thing.
Though. When Undertaker leaves, we're going to have that element, because we had that element with WrestleMania, not only with the streak, but you saw Undertaker didn't wrestle very much. He wrestled once a year, and you had to tune into WrestleMania because that was the only time you were going to see The Undertaker. I think for a part-timer, the guy that takes over that role from The Undertaker, people are going to say I'm crazy for this, but the guy that takes over that role of performing once a year and giving WrestleMania that little extra thing, the guy that takes that role is The Rock.
He's already like 45, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not against. The Rock is my second favorite wrestler of all time, so obviously I would have no problem if that were the case.
Not forever, but I mean, you could.
Oh yeah. But I don't think he'll be that guy. To me, I'll be honest. I think that guy, the next quote unquote big draw for WrestleMania, is gonna be one or two people.
Man, I got to tell you, your microphone's cutting out a lot again.
Really?
Yeah,
Hold on.
there we go.
Oh, okay, so there's only two guys that I believe that will actually take that spot for Taker. One is Randy Orton. The second one is John Cena.
John Cena, yeah. But I think John Cena, because he's already said he's going to pull himself away from wrestling a little bit, I think he's going to put himself more in that Hulk Hogan role, where him just showing up is going to be enough, not even necessarily him fighting a match all the time. As far as an actual match, I think your safer bet out of those two would be Randy Orton. But I mean, if you're talking about sticking something into a WrestleMania, I mean, John Cena and Randy Orton are huge in wrestling, right? Undertaker is huge in general. That's why I say The Rock, because The Rock is our crossover superstar. Like, the only other one that's been as much of a crossover superstar as The Rock was Hulk Hogan. The guy that was like, you can walk down the street, you might know who John Cena is, you might know who Randy Orton is, but you know who The Rock is. You know who Hulk Hogan is, because they're known outside of wrestling. And I'm like, a big part of WrestleMania is they try to get that crowd that doesn't typically watch. So I think, like I say, for a few years, like whenever Undertaker retires, have The Rock maybe for the next 5 or so, until you've really put Orton into that spot. For the next 5 years, just have The Rock. Obviously, it's not going to be all like the big spooky ambiance of The Undertaker, because nobody else can be The Undertaker. But every year around Royal Rumble, Rock pokes his head out, starts fucking with somebody. They have a match. Rock puts him over. Rock, see you next year or whatever. Basically what Jericho is doing right now. But I think that could be the thing, because every pay-per-view needs something. Every pay-per-view needs an element of, you need to tune in to this particular pay-per-view, because this is the only place you're going to see this. That's why my respect lies with the Royal Rumble, because you have to watch the Rumble, because the Rumble match only happens at the Rumble. You know what I mean? And with WrestleMania, you get The Undertaker right now. But that story's coming to a close pretty quick.
Yeah, and I got a couple more things to say about the Undertaker thing. Number one is a question to you. Before I do that, Brooke Hogan, give me a call if you want this. But just tag me in the chat right there. I don't know. But anyway, do you think it would be better for Undertaker to retire at Survivor Series for AEW than WrestleMania, or do you think WrestleMania is exactly the
Cutting again, bro.
Hello?
There we go.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with my mic. But do you think Undertaker should retire at Survivor Series, or do you think he has to retire at WrestleMania?
I think it has to be WrestleMania. Because WrestleMania is the biggest stage, and I think he deserves it. And I think a send off at Survivor Series wouldn't be enough. Like I said, WrestleMania is the biggest stage, and I personally believe the best WWE creation of all time deserves a send off at WrestleMania. That's me personally. On a more logical level, yeah, Undertaker debuted at Survivor Series, but more of his persona, the whole streak bit, the whole like WrestleMania is more of his character than Survivor Series is, in my opinion. Like more of his character is attached to WrestleMania than is attached. Like, okay, put it this way: if Paul Bearer was still alive, obviously, but like Undertaker was originally managed by Brother Love, and then managed by Paul Bearer. But over the course of his career, he's obviously more attached to Paul Bearer. If Paul Bearer was alive, Paul Bearer would be the one to induct him in the Hall of Fame, not Brother Love. Even though he debuted with Brother Love and Million Dollar Man and all that, you take the one that was the bulk of his career. I kind of look at WrestleMania the same way. I look at it in a sense of, yeah, you're absolutely right. He did debut at Survivor Series, and that is something to do. But they've done an anniversary for him at Survivor Series already, so I think his final send-off needs to be at WrestleMania. Like I say, and this is all my opinion, if you do his send-off anywhere else than WrestleMania, I think it's disrespectful.
And to me, it also has to be the main event.
Yeah, for sure. Like his match with Shawn Michaels, the second one that he retired Shawn Michaels, was the main event, I believe.
I'm not sure. By the way, I was actually live for some of that build.
Nice.
What happened in Dallas.
Nice.
Yeah. No, sorry. I meant the Triple H.
Nice.
Undertaker one. 11, yeah.
Oh, in the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, that was my first event. So like when I heard the Undertaker's bong hit, I was like, ah.
Nice. So I think it's funny they called that the end of the era, and the only one that hasn't wrestled since is Shawn Michaels, because Triple H has definitely wrestled since then, and Undertaker has definitely wrestled since then.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's like stupid o'clock, man. So I gotta wrap this up. Anyways,
right.
Man, tell them where to find you.
Well, I'm actually gonna do a yearly show because I've been on YouTube for just over a year now on YouNow. So if you have that app, join me live. I'll be doing reactions to some of my old content, also reacting to some pretty bad music. Just reacting to random stuff and talking to you guys. And also, you can find me on YouTube at TheAngryMark, or you can follow me on two shows that I co-host with, Chase Oliver's Q&A and The Wrestling Express.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Twitter's Weston_Texas.
All right, and you guys know the drill. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know where to find me. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Thank you very much to the Angry Mark for not letting me swing out here on a vine by myself. I'll have to have you back here again at some point. We'll talk about it. Guys, this has been a almost 2-hour conversation about the draft, the supplemental draft, Battleground, early SummerSlam, my hopes for WrestleMania next year and Survivor Series. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please put your comments down in the box below. Tell me what you're looking forward to this Sunday. Tell me what you thought about the draft tonight. I've been Spaz. He's been the Angry Mark. We are your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, we are tagging out. Bye, guys.